Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, what we expect to see is torrential downpours in the early morning hours.
Tropical storm Bill is set to hit land sometime today, and parts of the southern plains are on high alert.
11 people, including 9 children, are still in the hospital this morning after a rollover just north of Las Cruces. We'll have an update.
And more controversy out of Sunland Park. The former elected mayor is now facing a new slew of charges.
Where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
A very good morning to you, El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Floren. Good morning, everyone. Let's get to Crystal first and foremost to talk about how hot it's going to get today.
Yeah, because Crystal, right now at 6 o'clock, it's pretty pleasant, but it won't stay that way.
Yeah, you know what? When you have the best conditions of your day starting in your morning, you know it's going to be a rough afternoon. And yet again, still looking warm out there. And because of extra moisture moving in, a little bit humid later today, too. So let's start with the good stuff. 70-year temperature this morning in El Paso. Mix of clouds and sun will start off your morning with that sunrise. Winds are calm right now. We're looking a little breezy in the forecast as we move into the later part of your afternoon. In Las Cruces, 68 your temperature currently. Winds are just 10 miles per hour. But check out that relative humidity. 70%. We've got that moisture moving in. Yesterday, we were able to tap into those thunderstorms in the afternoon over parts of Las Cruces, and it looks like today may be a repeat. No rain right now on our clouds and radar map, but later on, I do expect for that green to light up the board. We'll talk more about chances of rain all over our viewing zone coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, Crystal, thank you. This morning, millions of Americans are facing weather dangers from Texas to New York. Flash flood watches in 15 states as Tropical Storm Bill pounds the Gulf of Mexico. ABC's Lana Zach has the latest with our Storm Track weather.
Stranded buses, flooded streets. This is the scene in Texas, which is still recovering from May, the wettest month on record. And now this morning, a new weather woe, Tropical Storm Bill. At this command center, the storm's every move is being closely monitored. More than 200 people are tracking the storm in real time, ready to mobilize emergency management.
What we expect to see is torrential downpours in the early morning hours.
It is the latest in a rainy assault on the Lone Star State. 35 trillion gallons of water, lives lost, and $45 million in damage. And now the worry that there's more to come.
Everybody needs to pay special attention to those areas that normally flood, particularly the underpasses. We do not want to see a repeat of the tragedy of 3 weeks ago.
Tropical Storm Bill is expected to dump 4 to 8 inches in Texas and Oklahoma. And the wet and windy weather is also affecting other parts of the country. In downtown Chicago, this funnel cloud was spotted over Lake Michigan. But still, the heavy rains couldn't keep away die-hard hockey fans. They may have been waterlogged, but nothing was going to stop them from cheering on the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Finals.
And the tropical storm will continue moving north, threatening a large swath of the country, making flash floods likely later today. In Washington, Lana Zach, ABC News.
And now to the latest on that accident that we told you about right here on Good Morning El Paso. 11 people are at the county hospital after a rollover in New Mexico Sunday night, and 9 of those victims are children. The crash happened at mile marker 26 on I-25 north of Las Cruces, just south of the Border Patrol checkpoint. At about 9:15 Sunday night, the driver of a Ford SUV lost control, rolled several times, and ended up in the center median. 9 passengers were ejected. Everyone inside that SUV, 9 children and 2 adults, were taken to University Medical Center in El Paso. New Mexico State Police have not released their names or ages, and they've not said whether they were wearing their seatbelts or not.
Also in New Mexico, last month he was convicted of bribery, and now there's more trouble for former Socorro City Rep Jesse Gonder Jr. Last week he pleaded guilty to theft by a public official. He was accused of getting reimbursed for travel expenses he did not actually incur. The judge sentenced him to 2 years probation and $450 in restitution. This comes on the heels of his conviction last month for bribery. In that case, he was sentenced to 10 years probation. The judge is allowing him to serve both sentences at the same time. And happening today, a Border Patrol agent accused of sexual assault of a child is expected in court. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live with the details now. Denise.
Good morning, Stephanie. Right now, 29-year-old Luis Angel Lozada is out on bond, but will have an arraignment hearing this morning. He is facing sexual assault charges for allegedly having sex with a 15-year-old girl several times. Lozada was arrested in March. He's a Border Patrol agent. He became one in 2009 and was assigned to the Isleta station. Court documents say Lozada had sex with a 15-year-old at least 5 times beginning in July of last year. Those sexual encounters allegedly taking place in the bedroom of the girl's mother. At last check, Lozada remained on administrative leave, but today he is back in court to be formally charged. Hillary, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Denise. Police in Las Cruces need your help finding this girl, a teenage runaway. 13-year-old Nicole Enriquez was last seen at her home Saturday on the 6300 block of Reynolds. Police say that she does not drive and could be relying on friends for transportation. They want to also warn those who may be helping her that they could be charged with a crime. So if you know where she is, you're asked to call 911.
El Paso County has accepted millions in grants to hire more public defenders, but for a shorter time frame than originally expected. The county's public defenders have been struggling to handle a massive increase in cases, and the funding should help counter that, but there is a catch.
So after the grant runs out after the second year, I presume.
Correct.
That we are required to maintain those positions.
Maintain the staffing, yes.
Chief Public Defender Jaime Gonder pushed for commissioners to accept the state funding yesterday, even though it puts the county on the hook for the full $1.2 million for 14 new positions in 3 years. He told commissioners his office is facing that huge increase in the number of people qualifying for court-appointed attorneys. The grant approved by the state would be for the $1.2 million a year, but the county will be committed to continue to fund the positions after the grant ends.
It's going to allow us to hire enough people to handle the huge increase of caseload that we have so that we can give dignified and proper representation to our clients.
Gonder added that with the funds secured, his office can start to look to start the hiring process to hopefully be up to full strength by August.
Commissioners also agreed to apply for a grant that would help pay for 160 body cameras for sheriff's deputies and constables. If the county gets that federal money, it would pay for half of the bill. The county would pay a little more than $200,000 plus other costs.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has signed into law $3.8 billion in tax cuts for businesses. The new laws reduce business taxes by 25%. It also creates a November ballot initiative asking voters to approve tax reductions for homeowners. If that passes, property taxes will fall about $120 annually for the average homeowner. But in many areas, that could be swallowed up by fast-rising property appraisals.
Well, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez has signed into law a package of tax incentives recently approved by legislators during a special session. She says the incentives will help recruit new businesses to New Mexico, make it easier for small businesses to grow, and boost trade and commerce along New Mexico's southern border. The tax incentives were among the 3 pieces of legislation that passed both chambers.
And now at 6:08, we're taking a look at our TxDOT traffic cameras in central El Paso, I-10 Reynolds. You can see that things are moving along. It's pretty quiet out there. No problems to tell you about.
And speaking of traffic, it's not what drivers want to hear this week, that's for sure. Those lane closures on I-10 won't open anytime soon now that a $158 million project in West El Paso is on hold. A Mexico-based company that Texas contracted to do the work is having major financial problems. The I-10 entrance ramp at Executive has been closed since late April. It was supposed to open again this week, but that's not going to happen. The project, which began in February, was expected to take 4 years. It consists of adding new ramps and lanes, including access roads in both directions from Wrestler to Executive. No one from Tradeco would comment, but TxDOT did issue a statement saying it remains committed to the project. A source with ties to the project told us delays should be kept at a minimum, and a new company could be hired as soon as this week.
And still to come here on Good Morning El Paso, more severe weather around the country where rain is wreaking havoc in other parts.
And what a game, how the Hawks took care of the Lightning to take home the cup. We'll have that story coming up.
And meteorologist Crystal Clay has your detailed forecast. Crystal.
Well, we've got chances of rain, then some serious heat in the forecast. We're going to talk about both right after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.